We're just talking about vitamin D.
We are.
And the Health Secretary has said that the secret to a longer, healthier life is a big dose of it.
Yes, but a new report has revealed that 1 in 6 adults and 1 in 5 children are actually deficient in this country of the vital
I am one of
vitamin.
them. Do you know if you're deficient in it?
No, I don't, but I do think I get a lot of sun because I'm outside a lot and I do take a supplement.
So you don't know?
I don't know, but I suspect I'm all right.
I went and had my vitamin D tested, and it should have been 470 or something. And so they said, that was what they said to me. What is my vitamin D? And they said it's 7. And I said, what should have been? They said 477 or something. So it was awful. Dr. Helen Lawal is with us now to join us to talk about this. What does it do, Helen?
So vitamin D, although it's a vitamin, it's actually quite special in that it's a hormone as well.
Oh.
So normally with nutrients and vitamins, we need to ingest most of them from our diet to get sufficient levels. But with vitamin D, there's limited amounts that we can get from our diet, only about 20%. We get the majority, around 80%, from the sunshine. So from the sun shining on our skin. And the stronger the sunlight and the longer we're exposed to it, the higher our vitamin D levels are likely to be, because it's this chemical...
And we're also told to cover up in the sun.
So this is the difficulty. It's a balancing act, really, between exposing yourself to appropriate levels of sunshine so that your vitamin D levels are sufficient, and, of course, being at risk of skin cancer. And...
Well, you can do that in a healthy way, though, can't you? If you cover up using a sunscreen, you're still getting the benefits of the sun, but you're not getting the harmful rays. Is that a fair...
Yeah, there are ways around it, but the problem that we're seeing, and this is why I'm so happy that Jared's put out this call for this evidence, is what we're seeing is most of us, especially in the UK, we're in the Northern Hemisphere, the sunlight's not very strong. Between the months of October to March, we don't get any benefits from the sunshine. It's just not strong enough.
Right.
Well, I'm sure today will clear up. I mean, I'm a bit optimistic. But, so, not having it, what does it do? If I didn't go on, I normally get supplements, but I get an injection 4 times a year with it. So without all of that, what would happen to my decrepit body?
So potentially you would develop something called osteomalacia, which is weakening of the bones, and that can cause bone pain, it can cause an increased risk of fractures. And the worrying thing is children are at risk of it. You know, we're still seeing cases of rickets, which, you know, you think of it as like a 19th century condition, but we're still seeing cases of rickets in children, which causes their bones to be really deformed. It can be really disabling, and it can even cause seizures in really young babies under 1 year old. So potentially quite serious and disabling side effects from having really low levels.
It became, you know, a bit of a hot topic, didn't it, during COVID, vitamin D, and doctor friends of mine were saying, look, you know, just as among the other things of using hand gel, make sure you got lots of vitamin D, because that could keep you safe from the virus, which amazes me, and also good for mood. There's so many benefits to it.
Yeah, this is the incredible thing about it, and that's, we've got to remember, it is a hormone, it's not just a vitamin, and there is emerging evidence to suggest that it is beneficial. It has implications for our immune function, as you mentioned, potentially with COVID-19, our cardiovascular health, and even in cases of cancer. There's still emerging evidence coming out with that, but really we need it for good bone and muscle health.
Okay, so what would you recommend then in terms of, you know, someone looking at this morning to say, oh right, I better top up vitamin D. How many tablets a day, supplements, whatever, what?
So the advice is most of us should consider taking 10 micrograms a day. That's equivalent to 400 international units. If you're unsure about the units, check with a pharmacist. You wouldn't want to get that wrong, particularly in the winter months. But actually it's about knowing if you're at increased risk. So it's quite a long list, but to cover the main areas, it would be people who are over 65 because they can't synthesize the vitamin D in their skin as well. People who have darker skin like me, because of the pigment in our skin, we're not able to produce it as fast. If you're spending prolonged periods of time indoors, which, let's face it, most of us do. We work in the studio, in the office, night workers.
In the train, whatever.
Yeah, so I'd actually say that the majority of us are potentially going to be at risk.
Right. You mentioned there children under 1 year old. How do you give that supplement to a baby?
Really good point. I'm glad you've raised that.
Thank you very much.
So pregnant women must take vitamin D. It's essential, because if you already have a deficiency in vitamin D and you go into pregnancy, which is what happened to me, your levels are going to be further depleted. So pregnant women and breastfeeding women must take vitamin D supplements, and then children, once they get to a year, they can take it safely.
Good.
What about, you know, I always think with vitamin supplements, you can't beat the real thing. So if you're taking supplements because you're probably not having as healthy a diet, I always think you'd be better off having a healthy diet. Is that the same with vitamin D? I mean, is the bottled version of it as good as the real sunshine that you'll get on a holiday?
Potentially it is. You can't get it as much of it from the diet, remember, so you can get it in things like egg yolks and oily fish, salmon, and some foods are fortified like breakfast cereals, but not enough, and I'm hoping that this is what this call for evidence will show, is we need to have more of it in a diet, but you can't get as much as you could potentially get in a tablet.
There we go.
Mood.
Mood, yeah. It does affect mood, I think.
I know, don't tell me.
Oh, you're looking at me?
Yeah, I'm saying.
Now you think I'm deficient.
I think you're deficient.
Oh.
I think, I've just sat and considered things and I thought, she's vitamin D deficient.
I need more sunshine in my life.
Could be the
I need a
only
holiday.
explanation. So it could be, Doctor, thank you very much.
Yeah, Dr. Helen Lawal.
Thanks for coming in and putting a little bit of sunshine into our medical matters today. Thank you very much indeed.